It is General Leia Organa Saturday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Excuse me whilst I plug my charger in to the side of the computer. Should have done that an hour ago. Okay. Let us turn our attention to this morning's practice text. Very easy meditation. The luxury car of mindfulness and meditation traverses the smooth road of Anu Yoga's energy work. There are many flavors of energy work, but I find that the mudra or finger gesture-oriented energy work is the most efficient. And so we can begin with our first of 4 collections of 12 sets of 12 rounds. Allow me to demonstrate how that works. A round is simply 1 inhalation and 1 exhalation. We can think of it as a rep. So we can advance over the span of 12 inhalations. We could advance our thumb thusly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That takes about 1 or 2 minutes. If we multiply that by 12, we get something closer to 15 minutes. So we count sets of 12 be on our left hand. 1, 2, 3 sets of 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sets of 12. And we call, and that's, and we're going to collect or gather 4 collections of 144. We keep track of those 4 collections upon the knuckles of our right hand. And so we keep track of our first collection of 12 sets of 12 rounds by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right little finger upon the tip of our left little finger. Palms up, or I should say inner lap, palms up so that our thumbs might happily count creases. Now, is this a little overwhelming? Sure it is. But repetition is the mother of skill. Come to these live streams once every 12 hours, and within a week or 2, you could master all the techniques in this cycle. As an extra added bonus, by working with our little knuckle, we gently invite our subtle energy to coalesce in the bladder region of our lower abdomen. I look forward to exploring with you the neuroscience of mindfulness and meditation after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, and that includes humanity as well as meditation teachers. So what would a sucky meditation teacher look like? Well, they look like someone who is rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, and pretty much the opposite of the Buddha's archetype of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. So when this rigid and controlling individual hands out meditation advice, they implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze. The only neural pathways which can help us to do that are the ones found in the regions such as our medial prefrontal cortex or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. Overtrain these areas and we will trigger our almond-shaped amygdala, which is the seat of anxiety and aggression. So how darkly ironic is it that in the name of peace and love, we find ourselves experiencing more of the opposite, more anxiety and more aggression. Fortunately, this prefrontal cortex and this amygdala are not the only two components of our central nervous system. Let us begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we access our sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which, as you can tell, is the opposite of active concentration. But what is it that we have evolved to notice? We have evolved to notice mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. This sounds like a whole heap. Fortunately, every time we silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, our cerebral cortex stops fighting our sympathetic nervous system and begins cooperating with it. But what are we to do with all these things that we noticed? The answer to that question brings us to meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release, to the point that what we perceived during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and even less defining. So together as a team, let us silently and mentally recite this at ease, in harmony with our silently and mentally, in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation, that we might master the perception and release formerly known as mindfulness and meditation. We come now to our second of 4 collections of our left hand's 12 sets and our right hand's 12 repetitions. We keep track of this second set by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right ring finger upon the tip of our left ring finger. Oopsie. And then place these 2 hands palms up in our lap so our thumbs can happily count creases. As a fringe benefit, our subtle energies coalesce at the navel region of our mid-abdomen. So I would like to explore 2 of the 4 benefits of a regular practice of mindfulness and meditation. The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during our inhalation, thus facilitating our ability to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. The most efficient way to meditate is to silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, thus facilitating a release so powerful it causes what we perceived during our previous inhalation to fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and less defining. By practicing mindfulness and meditation, perhaps once every 12 hours or so, we can notice several benefits. Here are 2. First, we calm our anxious and aggressive amygdala. 2, we stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy and compassion and love. This is why the late Tulku Thondup insisted that the highest love is not the product of contrived focus and analysis, but rather the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of our practice of mindfulness and meditation. Let's meditate. While I'm on the subject, allow me to remind you that enlightenment is simply mastery of the Eightfold Path. As a child, none of us was born with a mastery of anything. But in time we learned how to tie our shoes or brush our teeth or ride a bicycle spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. We can master the Eightfold Path. For instance, mindfulness is the 7th fold, meditation is the 8th fold. And this empathy drives 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. The 2nd fold, which is kind intention, the 3rd fold, which is kind communication, the 4th fold, which is kind conduct, and the 5th fold, which is kind commerce, forsaking competition and cruelty and embracing cooperation and kindness. Let's continue. Good morning, Anna. I too live in the United States. Well, so we've come to the halfway point of this morning's practice. Whoopsie. Yes, I think I got a little confused here, so let me try this again. Yes, here we go. So we've come to the third of 4 collections of 12 of our left hand's 12 sets, of our right hand's 12 rounds. If you have any questions about that, simply ask. Well, I'm just going to assume you have a question because you just joined. So let's get straight to it. In junior high, I was taught weightlifting, and that we would perform 3 sets of 10 repetitions. We can bring that same sensibility to our meditation. We won't always have access to our smartphones. Sometimes those can get lost, stolen, drained, or confiscated. But we almost always have our hands with us. And if we don't, then we're in a world of hurt. So we can count on our hands, and as a fringe benefit, number 1, it's an excellent way of working with energy work. And number 2, it's an excellent opportunity for stimming if you're neurodivergent like me. So upon our right hand, every 12 inhalations, we can advance our right thumb thusly. I should say over the span of 12 inhalations. We can advance our thumb this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That only takes a minute or two. So on our left hand, we count not repetitions, but sets, beginning with our little finger. 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 repetitions. 4, 5, 6 sets of 12 repetitions. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sets of our right hand's 12 repetitions. But that's only going to take you about 12 to 15 minutes. So to give that the extra boost, we would multiply that by 4. And so we count our 4 collections on our knuckles. And so right now we're going to mark our 3rd collection of 144 reps by resting the great knuckle at the base of our right middle finger upon the tip of our left middle finger and our palms up in our lap so our thumbs can happily count creases. Now, it's okay to feel a little overwhelmed. Take comfort in the fact that repetition is the mother of skill, and that by coming to these live streams once every 12 hours for a week or so, you could master this entire cycle of teachings. Consequently, because we are resting our middle because we're working with our middle knuckles, our subtle energies could coalesce at our in the heart region of our chest. So it's okay to feel a little bit overwhelmed. Allow me to remind you that enlightenment is nothing more than mastery of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. As children, we learn to master tying our shoes, brushing our teeth, and riding a bike. We can learn to master the Eightfold Path in a remarkably short period of time, a week or 2. So the 7th and 8th folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path are mindfulness and meditation. The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation, thus helping us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. But notice what? Notice mind's antics of perception. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, such as emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. But what are we to do with all these things that we notice? That brings us to meditation. The most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation, thus causing us to release what we perceived during our previous inhalation to the point that they feel fleetingly less solid, less permanent, and less defining. They feel that way, of course, until the next inhalation, when the cycle starts all over again. And that's okay. We do not do this to get rid of what we feel. We do this so we can manage life's experiences, so we can surf life as opposed to drowning in life. So I'd like to explore the third benefit of regularly training in mindfulness and meditation. Doing so, we can notice that our choices and our utterances and our deeds begin to flow with the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity. No, not scattered spontaneity, but centered spontaneity. And this is the sixth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. So for the next 15 minutes or so, let's meditate. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist mindfulness or meditation or philosophy, please type your question in great detail in the chat window. I check for questions about once every 15 minutes or so. Please do not wait till the end of the live stream. By then, my brain will have become tapioca. Rather, strike while the iron is hot. Allow me to explain that mastery is just a fancy word for getting so good at something that we're able to do it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. The way we learn to brush our teeth or tie our shoes or ride a bike. Just because we never won the Tour de France doesn't mean we didn't really get good at riding our bike around the block. We come now to the final quarter of this morning's practice. The fourth of 4 collections of our left hand's 12 sets and our right hand's 12 rounds. In junior high, I learned about weightlifting. They taught me to use 3 sets of 10 reps. We're going to play with 12 sets of 12 reps, and here's how we're going to keep track of it. Over the span of 12 inhalations, we could advance our thumb in the following manner. 1, 2, 3, and this is our right thumb. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is just 12. To keep track of multiple sets of 12, we introduce our left hand, and we would count 1, 2, 3 sets of 12 repetitions, 4, 5, 6 sets of 12 repetitions, 7, 8, 9 sets of 12 repetitions, 10, 11, 12 sets of 12 repetitions. How do we keep track of our gatherings or collecting? We use our great knuckles. And so since we are now on our 4th collection of 12 sets of 12 rounds, we rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap so that our thumbs can happily count creases. As such, our subtle energies are gently drawn to coalesce at the crown region of our head. Enlightenment is nothing more than the mastery of the Eightfold Path, getting so good at it that we practice it. Oopsie. Getting so good that we practice it. Spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. So the key to effortlessly mastering this Eightfold Path is the 7th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, mindfulness, and the 8th fold, meditation. The most efficient way to practice the 7th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, mindfulness, is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Doing so helps us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Now, this could seem a trifle overwhelming. What are we to do with all that which we notice? And that brings us to the 8th fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path, meditation. The most efficient way to do so, to practice meditation, is to silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. Doing so helps us to release to such a degree that what we perceived during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel a trifle less solid, less permanent, and less defining. That is until our next inhalation, and the process starts all over again. So, we've explored not only mindfulness and meditation, but how they serve as the key to unlock the mastery of the sixth, fifth, fourth, third, and second folds of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Now let us explore the spookiest of them all, right view. So a lot of people twist themselves into knots, trying to believe or memorize great philosophical mental gymnastics, but that's not necessary. According to the Buddha's most concise meditation manual, the Anapanasati Sutta, the key to the wisdom of letting go is impermanence. Impermanence does not have to be theorized, does not have to believe. We see impermanence. With the changing of the seasons, we see the impermanence of a year. With the waxing and the waning of a moon, we see the impermanence of a month. With the rising and the setting of the sun, we see the impermanence of a day. With the swelling and the sinking of our chest, we feel the impermanence of a breath. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. We might try to hide from impermanence, but the more we sit, the more we will notice change. Sometimes gradual, sometimes jarring. But we will notice change. We will notice change in that which we see, changes in that which we hear. In fact, all sound is change. If you ask a physicist, they'll explain it to you, or me. Changes in sensation, changes in flavor, changes in scent, changes in emotion, changes in intention, changes in thought, changes in memory, changes in imagination. Everything is in a constant state of flux. We don't have to believe this. But as we sit in mindfulness, we can observe it, whether we want to or not. So let us make the most of this, the final quarter of this morning's practice. May we joyfully serve the perfect imperfections of life. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 2.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's mid-morning meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.